Okay, so now we're getting into object collisions. And by object collision, I mean if I click anywhere on the screen, how am I gonna know exactly which charge I've clicked on? Oops, because the page itself doesn't know if I've clicked on like one particular charge. So I have to manually kind of check that every time. Um, so yeah, so let's get started with that. I'm gonna start out by hiding all of the sliders. So I want only one charge to be selectable at a time, and when I say selectable, I just mean I can click on it and the slider will appear. I can also give it like a stroke color to kind of show you which charge, to show the user which charge they've selected. So I'm going to create another like property here called selected, and I will set that equal to false. And so now I'm going to have an if statement here and say if this dot selected, and I can say like if this dot selected equals true, but I can also just leave it as that, and because it's like this Boolean value, it's gonna kind of it's gonna run like it normally would. So yeah, if it's selected, I want the slider to move around, and you can see the slider is not moving around. But I also want the slider visibility to kind of go in and out if it's based on if it's selected or not. So I'll say this dot selected, not this dot selected, this dot slider, and I'm trying to change the visibility of the slider based on if it's like visible or not. Let me check the reference. I think I can use like is there like a style thing? Style, yeah, there it is. So here, this style is coming through from CSS. I can post, I'll leave some stuff in the description about that if you want to read more about it. But I can control CSS through JavaScript. So if I say if the slider dot style, not if the slider, so I'm setting the slider style, I'm setting the visibility, oh gosh, okay, visibility, okay. I'll set that equal to hidden initially. Okay, so they're all hidden now. But I want to say if I've selected a charge, I'll set that equal to visible. Now, of course, I haven't told it how to select a charge or anything. That's going to be something I program into it. I'm going to get rid of this for now, so I don't have this kind of charge trailing me. But yeah, so I'll write I'll use like the clicked event. So just, I think it's mouse clicked. And so this is going to run every time I click anywhere on the screen or like anywhere in my canvas. So when I click on anywhere on the canvas, I want to check if I'm colliding with any of the charges on the screen. How I'm going to do that is it's a pretty simple collision because I'm just checking if a point is colliding with any of the circles on the screen. And all the circles have a fixed radius that I know, or a fixed diameter that I know. So I can kind of just use math to get that out. All the charges also have like a fixed position. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to check if my position from the center of a charge is greater than the radius of that charge. That means I'm not colliding with it. That might be hard to it might be hard to visualize exactly what I'm saying, but I think when I get into it, it might kind of become clearer. So I need to check every single charge on the screen at once. I can't really like it's not really smart enough to for me to just say just check like okay, let's just start programming. So what I'm trying to say here is I'm gonna have a for loop, and I'm going to loop through all of my charges. And for each one of these charges, I want to check the mouse position, I want to check the charge position, and I want to check how far they are from each other. So I'm gonna create some variables. So I'll say mouse position, and here I'm gonna use vectors, which I don't think we've talked about, but you can read about them here. And I'm gonna explain to you why I chose to use vectors. It just makes a lot of stuff easier. You can see it's just a normal like vector like we talk about in like a physics class, but we're using it to describe a position. And P5, like it has like a vector class, and this class allows me to kind of call these functions that it just makes the math a lot easier. So maybe if so here they create these vectors and use these as like position vectors to place these two circles. What I'm going to be looking to use is the, where is it? This one. This gets the distance between two points. Okay, so I'm going to have two vectors. The first one's going to be my mouse position. So that's just going to be mouse X and mouse Y like we've had before. Second vector is going to be my charge position. And that's going to be another vector. And this is going to be the specific charge that I'm looking at in my like iteration through the whole array of charges. So I'll have charges and then that specific one dot x, and I'll also look at the y value of it. So now I have these two vectors that give me the position of the mouse and the position of the charge, like each specific charge as it loops through all of them. I'll have another variable called distance, and with this I will get the distance between the 2 points, so that's what it's talking about here. And you can see here I can I'll just copy this, and instead of v1 I'm going to have mouse position, instead of v2 I will have charge position. So now I'm going to just log out this distance into the console to just so you can see what's happening here. I misspelled mouse. Is that okay? Yeah, that's working. I have a lot of charges on the screen. I'm just gonna bring it down to 1 for now. So I have this one charge. If I click on it, you can see I'm 271 pixels away from that charge. As I get closer, that number goes down. And just when I enter it, like this, when I'm inside of that, you can see 1620 pixels away. And I had this variable up here called diameter. So I need to be like a radius away from it in order to collide with it. So I might make a new variable called charge radius. I'll set that equal to diameter divided by 2. That way if I ever change this, like the diameter, then the radius would also just change with it. Okay, so now if this distance is less than the radius, then that means I've collided. So I'm going to have an if statement here, and I'll say if distance is less than charge radius, then I'm just going to log out, I'll just put in something filler for now. So nothing happens until I click inside of a charge. And if I have multiple charges on the screen, if I click in that one, it's going to collide. So that's all working. And if I'm not clicking on a charge, it's that ASDF doesn't get printed onto the console. So that's working. So now I need to say if all of that happens, I'm going to go back to my charge class here, and I'm going to say this dot selected should be true. So now hopefully if I click on this charge, okay, that's not working. let's look at the charges array here, right? If I hit this drop down, I can see I have this one charge selected. Yeah, I can hit that drop down to see this is just the 0 index here. So if I'm looking at this specific charge, I can see that selected equals false, which is what I set it equal to when it was first created. Let's see. I'm not sure why this is like that. Okay, yeah, the function should be like that color, so let's see. Because that might be where my issue is coming from, because it should switch over to selected after I click on it. I mean, the selected thing should be true. Oh, well, yeah, I said this. It has no idea what this is. This is used in the context of this charge, but this here is talking about the window, which is, it's weird. So for that, I'm just gonna grab this right here and replace it in there. So now if I click on it, you can see I get that slider. So I can have all of these charges, and when I click on one, the slider appears. But I only want one slider to be visible at a time. So I'll create another function here. This isn't an inbuilt one, but I'm gonna call it like select charges. And when I call this function, I just want everything's selected state to be set to false. So I'm gonna loop through my charges array, and I'm just gonna set everything's selected to false. So now every time I click with the mouse, I want to run that function. So now if I have a whole bunch of charges and I click on this one, that's going to be selected. But if I click on this one, oh, is it not? Okay. Problem solving is a good thing to learn about. Like how do I find where my code isn't working? And a lot of that I do through the console. So I'm just gonna log out, just put in ASDF again every time this function runs. So that is running. Okay, so that function's running, but it still says it's selected. Oh, I need to provide like an else statement to this to say if it's not selected, I need to turn off its visibility. I'll change that back to hidden. Okay, cool. So now I can have all these charges on here, and now I can select each one individually. I'll take it a step further with the stroke here and say if the charge is selected, I should set the stroke to just like, I'll just set it to white. And then if I haven't selected the charge, I will say no stroke. So that now if I click on a charge, it has that white outline. This stroke is also being applied to the text here. So you can see when I click on it, I'm not sure if that's coming across, but the text gets like wider. So I'm gonna put a no stroke thing right here just to get rid of that. Okay, cool. So now I can have all these charges up here, and that all looks like it should be good. I still can't like adjust charges, so I think that's we'll do that in the next video. I'm way over right now, but yeah, next video we're gonna talk about adjusting the sliders of everything and also kind of dragging charges around the screen. All right.